Hey guys, welcome to yoga. Happy February. Last week we played with an arm balance called Bakasana or crow pose, and this week we'll be playing with its cousin, side crow, also known as Parsva Bakasana. So just to give you an idea of where we're going, last week we worked with keeping the body really compact and balancing on the backs of the arms. This week, we're going to turn that to the side and work on an arm balance where we're twisted. So instead of coming forward, we'll go to the side, like this. And the fun thing about this pose is that it looks a lot more complicated than it is. Once you sort of get the hang of keeping your weight in your hands, you can have a lot of fun playing around. So let's get started by warming up. We really want to stretch out the side body in this pose because we need a lot of space right here in order to move around and to get that big twist that we need to actually find the pose. So let's start in a nice cross-legged position. Feel free to sit with one foot up here. You can also have your ankles crossed, whatever feels best for you here at the very beginning. Just let your hands rest down on your thighs or on your knees. Take a moment to let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Let's just slowly circle the head around. Just a few times in each direction. Now let's pause in the center. Drop one ear down toward your shoulder. And as you do this, take your hand and gently guide the other shoulder back. So one ear is going down, the other shoulder is rolling back. Now we'll go to the other side. Try to inhale your way back to center. Drop your ear toward your other shoulder. And then take the opposite shoulder back. You'll feel this stretch around the side of your neck, sort of in this area here. Feel free to kind of move your chin around to increase that stretch as much as you want. Now let's come on back to center. Inhale the arms up, interlace your fingers and flip your palms up. Just pressing up, you can look up if it feels good. And just find a big stretch right in your shoulders. Now let's lean to one side. Deep breath, and then inhale your way back to center. Exhale over to the side. Inhale your way back to center. Now let's come forward. Take a forward fold, just walking your hands out. Try to relax your head down. And inhale your way up. Now let's add a twist. So inhale the arms up. As you exhale, let's twist to one side. Taking one hand behind you, one hand to the outside of your thigh. Feel free to flip that hand and use the back of it to press into your thigh to deepen the stretch. And then see if you can look over your back shoulder. If it feels okay here, feel free to take that back hand and reach it out. It's a really nice opening for your chest. And now take that back hand, reach over your head so you're twisting and side bending at the same time. Try to breathe into it. Use your in-breaths to create some space and then your out-breaths to move into that space, like you could spin your chest open toward the ceiling. One more big breath on this side. Make it as deep as you can. Try to exhale a little farther into the twist. And then inhale back up to center. Both arms lift, exhale, and twist to the other side. One hand across. Feel free to flip the back of your hand. One hand behind you, either on the mat or just reaching back. And reach that back arm up and over. Try to twist or spin your chest out to the side, kind of aiming it toward the ceiling. One more big round of breath. Twist as deeply as you can on the exhale. And then inhale your way back to center. Let's bring the hands down. Release your hands. Give your arms a nice little shake. And let's make our way into the all fours. So, hands beneath the shoulders. Make sure your knee and your hip are in a nice straight line. As you inhale, pull your chest forward. Lift the head, lift the tail. As you exhale, round the spine. Just move with your breath. One more round here. Let's hold the exhale. Rounding the spine, gently shake your head from side to side a few times. Then coming to stillness, let's make our way into a squat. So you just come onto the balls of your feet. Now take your knees wide. Bring your hands together. Use your elbows to press your knees apart. Imagine you're using your thumbs to draw a line down your chest. Try to get comfortable here. If you need to take your feet a little wide, you can have your feet wide. It's easiest to come into this pose with your feet together. So if it's possible, this will make things a little easier, but this is this is also a good place to be. And don't be afraid to kind of fall like I just did. You can always have your hands down as well. So this is our starting position to come into crow pose, and we'll review that really quickly. So when we come into crow pose, we plant our hands, making sure they're shoulder distance. Take the knees to the backs of the arms, and then you can play with rocking forward and rocking back a few times. And then when you're ready, maybe have something under your head, and you'll feel your feet are a little more comfortable coming up. So in side crow, we've got to get our hands to the outside of our thighs before we plant them. So to do this, I like to take a big inhale. As you exhale, twist as far as you can. You're trying to get this outside hand as far over here as you can, so that you can get your hands to plant shoulder distance. One of the trickiest things about this pose is getting your hands into the right place, because a lot of times one hand just won't come farther than out here. If that's the case, work on some twisting. You can just kind of sit in place, twist around here. You can do those big twists that we kind of did earlier, maybe adding some side bend, and eventually this hand will come over. Just have some patience with yourself. That is the takeaway here. When you're ready, hands plant. Once you get past this first hurdle of getting your hands down, everything else is pretty much smooth sailing. So I'm actually going to show you from this direction. So plant the hands. Think about lining your outside elbow up with kind of the front of your thigh, and your inside or your back elbow as supporting your hip. I'm going to show you two ways to do this pose. So the first one is with both elbows. I've got my elbows lined up, one right here, one right here. Plant the hands, and this is where things actually get really easy. you're just gonna kind of scoop yourself up, and as you lean, bend your elbows so that the outside of your thigh can come to rest on the backs of your arms. Then if you're comfortable here, squeeze your thighs together, and you can start to open up the legs. So it looks really complicated. It's actually not all that complicated. And I think once you get past getting the hands down, it's actually a much easier arm balance, or more accessible arm balance than crow pose. The other great thing, if you haven't noticed, is when you fall out of this pose, you're not gonna fall onto your face like you would in crow. You're just gonna kind of slump down like that, and it doesn't hurt, which makes this pose a lot of fun to play around with and practice, and you don't have to worry about possibly, face planting into the floor. So that was Parsva Bakasana. Enjoy playing around with it. Let me know if you have any questions, and this is a pose we'll come back to over and over again and just kind of play around with. So I'm going to leave you with one more way to do this pose. So if you want to challenge yourself, as you move along in this pose, you're going to take a little bit of that support away. So instead of balancing on both elbows, you're really going to aim to just balance on one, that outside elbow. So the hands are still shoulder distance. Nothing really changes except that instead of getting your whole thigh onto the back of both arms, you're going to get this front elbow to be basically about halfway down your thigh. So find about halfway down between your knee and your bum. And again, you're just going to scoop it up. And then if you want, you can open your legs. All right. So those are two different variations of a really fun pose. Have fun playing around. And again, if you have some trouble, just spend a little more time with the twisting. Think about creating a lot of space in the side body. And most of all, have fun. Don't forget to breathe. Namaste.